Danielle.
Hi, Sabine. Oh my gosh.
Guys, I'm gonna be a huge geek today, like extra geeky, because Danielle is such an amazing person.
Oh my goodness, Sabine. I love you so much. I'm so happy to be here. See, I've been following you and just like so proud. Sabine's common sense.
Thank you.
This is the common sense I wish I had. So thank you for creating this channel.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Just trying to share what I know and the wonderful people that I know, how they can, pour into my guests. To my audience.
Yes.
Yes. So Danielle is so many things, guys.
Oh my gosh.
So she's a wonderful person. She's beautiful.
Thank you.
She's talented. She sings.
Yes, I sing.
Right? She's produced her own albums. Well, created her own albums. She's had so many businesses.
Yes.
And so when I first met Danielle, I was just in awe at your drive.
Ooh, I would call that the Jamaican drive.
Okay, the 5 jobs.
Jamaicans, I don't know. We just go. Yes. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No. This is how it is. Yes.
Yeah, I was hustling. When I first met you, I had perfume. I had a devotional. I had an album. I was doing mentorship, 5 a.m. prayer. I was doing so much. I think I was just trying to find my way because I was interested in so many things, but this was before serial entrepreneurship was popular.
Right.
So and I had nail polish.
Yes. She started her own nail polish brand.
I did.
Like pure nail polish.
It was called Pure Nail Polish. It was vegan. It was 5 free. And I was interested in so many things. And people would be like, okay, does she sing or does she do nails?
Right.
And I'm like, I do both. Thank you so much. But yeah.
Don't be disrespectful.
Exactly. Give it up for the ladies who like to do more than one thing and want to serve in more than one way. So yeah.
I love that. So how did you get into doing all these different things? Like, where did you find the time?
Yeah. Honestly, it came out of a need. When I got out of college, I started touring with the Harlem Gospel Choir.
Oh, awesome.
And yes, shout out to y'all.
How did you wait? Let's get into how did that happen?
Well, okay, my degree is in vocal performance and music business. So music and business is my flow.
Okay.
And so what happened was when I got out of college, I couldn't really find a job. So I had to get an education. And so I started working as a chorus teacher at a charter school, but then the budget got cut. So our entire department, my goodness.
Wow.
We all got laid off. And I never forget, and it seems so corny. I put some affirmations on my mirror. I don't even remember what these affirmations were.
That is not corny. That is key.
It was so key. I was saying it every day. I was like, okay, I have a little unemployment and thank God for unemployment, but it's not the full thing.
Okay.
So, I was trying to figure things out and I auditioned for the Harlem Gospel Choir. Wow. And I started going on tour about 8 months out of the year and I eventually became the music director. And so when I was there, I saw a lot of things and I learned how to grow. I did the public relations part of it. I also did the stage part of it. And so I started to see behind the music, how it worked. And we also did something with charity organizations where we went in and we taught some master classes. And that's kind of where the education bug hits. So we're doing these master classes and I wanted to offer them to the tri-state area with 2 of my friends, Alana and John. And so we opened up a business at that time.
Okay.
But, when we were with that choir, when we started opening up the business, we didn't have that time to be on tour. And so I had to supplement my income, a couple of different ways. And that's really...
So you're saying you sort of scaled back going on tour to start the business, to do the teaching?
Yes.
Okay.
It started to conflict because also, I was newly married at the time and my husband was not having 8 months out of the year. He was like, sis, you are missing Thanksgiving, Christmas, Valentine's Day. I was missing all the things. And he was saying, listen, if you're going to continue this way, I'm not really sure if this is going to work out. He was very clear with me. I married a Jamaican man.
You knew what you was getting into.
Okay, they are blunts up front and center in your face. And so he said, listen, this is not going to work out if you continue this way. And so I had that music education business with my friends. And then I was thinking through, because at the time I also had started a Bible study with another one of my friends in Brooklyn, and that's where like the prayer ministry began. And so I started the devotional, the 5 a.m. prayer.
So wait, hold up. So how did you feel about having that? Because people want to know, like, women in business, we're ambitious.
Yes.
But we want to have love too. Like, you know what I mean? So how did you feel about like saying, okay, this great thing that I have going on, I maybe can't do it this way. I have to pivot. Was that a challenge for you?
It was a challenge. But I think what helped me to make the difference is, or turn the corner, is when you put God first in your marriage, you recognize and you're aware of the possibilities. And so for me, the possibilities of partnership was more than what I could do on my own.
Ooh, I love that. I love that.
And so I married a man who's ambitious, who's driven, who's talented, who's proficient, who's articulate, and who's a praying person. So I recognize, like, okay, if this is what he is saying, there's some possibilities here for me to do more if I join
together. So that's important. What Danielle pointed out is that her husband is wise. She respects his decision-making process.
Yes.
Right. And so she knew that she can trust him and with her.
That's important.
Yeah, that's important.
I love what Elena Cardone says in her book, Build an Empire. She says, find the one that you trust and build an empire with them. And Dre was somebody I could trust. I knew that he wanted to build. And so I took a leap of faith. I was starting a business, so it wasn't like I was making that same money from the Harlem Gospel Choir, but I knew that if I did it with him, then there was a possibility there that we could make a lot of money and we could serve a lot of people. So I said yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dope. Okay, cool. So now you have, sort of shied away from the Harlem choir.
Yes.
You've discovered another avenue. You started your business, and now you're also getting into prayer ministry.
Yes.
So continue there.
Well, I started a Bible study with two of my friends in Brooklyn. And this Bible study, while I was working the music education throughout the week, this Bible study was getting so popular because what was happening was, first of all, there was no time limit on it, even though my husband was like, what are you doing? If you don't stop coming to this house at 3 a.m. talking about people getting delivered and set free, I don't have time for your foolishness. So, but I was in East New York, okay?
Okay.
Brooklyn people,
streets.
Right. Yes. I had to pray over my car. Let's thank you, God, as I'm in here doing your work. Please cover my car.
Right.
So, but I was in East New York, in the heart of Brooklyn, and we were there at 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning, helping so many people. So people were coming to Bible study, and they were so hungry to just understand the word, and they were hungry to experience, something that was different than a church service. Because a church service, you have to go to the next part, right? Of service. But for us, it was just worship and word.
Okay.
And so people knew what they were getting. And when they came in, they knew that they were not going to be quenched. Like if they wanted to cry, like no one was going to judge you.
Okay.
If you was going to scream, jump, run, we were going to just cheer you on.
Okay.
So that non-judgmental, kind of atmosphere.
Like a safe space.
Yes, it was it was definite. That's a great word. It was a safe space. It was a safe space for me. We created what we wanted, to be honest. We created what we wanted, and it seems like other people wanted it too.
Right.
And so out of that, I was one of the leaders there. I knew that in order for me to host something like this, I need to bring up my spiritual practices.
Right.
And so I started to wake up early in the morning at 5 a.m. every morning. Oh my goodness.
Don't y'all love that 5 a.m. wake up?
I was up every morning at 5 a.m., whether or not I crawled to the, because I did it with a friend of mine, Joy Brown.
Okay.
And we were up at 5 a.m., whether I crawled to the phone, whether I was snoring on the phone. Some days she would be like, Danny. I would be like snoring before the Lord. Like literally.
Snoring before the Lord.
Yes.
I love it.
But Sabine, 5 a.m. prayer changed my life.
Really?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. When you talk about morning routine for, wealthy people, like I've read a couple of books about morning routines. I've listened to several podcasts about a morning routine. It's not a joke.
Nope.
When you set your day, like before, let's say 8 or 9 o'clock, your entire day, your entire week, everything shifts.
Yes.
When I started that 5 a.m. prayer, just being obedient with one other person, my marriage changed.
Wow.
My money changed. I got more focused. There was a clientele that I started to meet 2 months into us starting this business.
Wow.
I became a resident artist for several nonprofits in the tri-state area.
Wow.
We've taught over 10,000 children. Like I can only attribute it to the fact that I put God first.
Wow.
And so that's how that began.
Oh my God, that's so much, Danielle. I love it. I'm like getting goosebumps over here. That is so wonderful. Like there is the spiritual aspect of, God is who he is. And as long we can't lose with God, right?
Never.
But then there's also sort of like, I kind of want to say the business aspect in the sense that many successful people, you're right. They all say they have that routine.
Yes.
They all say they get up early.
Yes.
And a lot of them, even though they may not be, evangelizing, right?
Yeah.
Many of them say they pray.
Yes.
And that having that space and that time to just like let God download and do what he do.
Oh my goodness. It's everything. Sabine, and I hope your listeners are getting this. Like, guys, there's nothing better than being able to receive instructions from someone who's boundless. He's not Google.
Infinite.
Exactly. So it's God in Google. Like, honestly, there's no limitations. He doesn't say to you, I don't know. One thing I was sharing with the prayer community recently is that the Holy Spirit tells you the right thing to do the first time.
Whether you listen.
Yes, whether you listen or not. The right thing to do the first time. That's so crazy because in the kingdom, it's not a fail forward. It's Holy Spirit obedience forward. So we don't have to go along the lines of like, let's say everybody else. So we're seeing how other people have done it. But when you integrate prayer and the Holy Spirit in it, you now have information that even people may want to withhold from you.
Right. Girl, you ain't never lied on that one.
We have a church. Okay.
That is so true. It's so funny. With my husband, like sometimes he'll tell a little white lie, right? Nothing major, but I'll find out and I'll be like, the Holy Spirit told me.
That's all right.
I'd be like, God's gonna tell me, so don't even keep it out.
Yes. My mother used to say, what's done in the dark will come to light.
Right.
And I used to be like, child, would you, stop telling me that, okay? Because I want to do some things in the dark that I don't need you to find out about.
You know what I'm saying? No, but that's so true.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah. Cindy, Dr. Trim tells the story of when she was writing her first book, she had a friend who was a New York Times bestseller. And she was asking her friend, like, how do I write a bestseller? Like, teach me, you're an author.
Right.
And so the friend said to her, no, you're not ready. And she said she was so hurt. This was something that, we all have friends that are better than us in other industries.
Right.
And we may be trying to do something. And I think the spirit of it is like, hey, whatever I can do for you, I want to do for you. And so that friend didn't do that. And she said she just prayed and asked the Holy Spirit to help her. And she wrote the book, and that book was Command Your Morning.
Wow.
Now it's in, I think, 14 languages. It's been a New York Times bestseller several times over. Yes.
Wow.
So he gave her the information that somebody withheld from her. And, we're not shaming that person, but we understand that, this
if it's for you, it kind of is for you.
It will not pass you by.
Right. That
it's
is
yours.
Awesome. That is awesome. Awesome.
Yes.
So now you started this Bible study, but you have this other business. What made you say, okay, I need more businesses, or let me shift out of this if you did?
Well, I love fashion and I love smelling good and I like looking good. And, as I was doing this business, I started to recognize some of the things that I learned from being on tour. Whether you're in Germany, the only place I haven't been in the world yet is Latin America. So I've been everywhere. Whether you're in Germany, Australia, Bulgaria, Africa, I went to Morocco, like
nice.
there is a universal language that women have, where you recognize that you're putting yourself last. Women all over the world have this tendency to put others before themselves and take care of themselves last. And I was just finding it everywhere. Women would like talk to me about it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what, child, I'm just here to sing "Oh Happy Day." I was like, can you help me? Yeah, it's like, I need help. I need more. And so I would just like hear that cry, and I would just start to integrate some self-care practices of my own and share them. So
within your like singing and performing.
Within the singing and performing group that we were in, we would do different things. We would have conversations just like you and I are having now, in our hotel rooms, and we would just pray and ask God to help us to become women who, really take care of themselves so we can help others to take care of themselves and be a reminder. And so out of that came the devotional. So I did a 30-day devotional because, the prayer ministry to me is also self-care. Seeking God first, it gives you a peace of mind and a confidence. My mentor always says that consistent action breeds confidence. And so the consistency of doing things every day, whether or not you do it to 100%, 90%, 80%, but you're there, you're doing it, it creates a confidence in God and a confidence in you. And so we started with that. I started with that confidence in God, confidence in you. And then I really liked, to do different things with accessories and nail polish. So I started with nail polish. And, downtown Brooklyn, we got all of the oils. So yes, I worked with an oil guy, and we created my own custom oil, and I sold that for a little while. So
so you were just like, whatever you were inspired by, you went with it.
Why not try?
And I love it. And you achieved success in all the things that you endeavored to do.
I did. And I learned so much. I mean, I think the thing that I learned during those businesses is how to scale. I was not with the nail polish, I put out every shade, honey. First, it's like, okay, well, what you gonna do 2 years from now? You put out every color. So anything you put out now is gonna be a shade of that color, right? And so, it just taught me a lot about people, and it taught me a lot about business and what it means to grow in business. And
sort of the psychology behind getting your customers to sort of be interested in what's next.
Yes, and keep them engaged, and keeping the main thing. The main thing was another lesson that I learned.
Let's talk about that, because how do you do that when you have all these different ventures?
Remembering your why. Remembering your why. Why did you start this? What sparked you, and bringing you back to that? It's kind of like testimony. In testimony service, they'll be like, I remember when God, he delivered me from this. I feel like when you remember that experience of why you did something, it ignites your passion again, and it re-engages your focus. So you say, okay, I remember that I did this to help women. So let me figure out, the best way to streamline all the releases that I'm doing in a way that really assists and supports the lifelong endeavor of being a self-caring woman. And so
how does this other thing fit into what I'm already doing, or the path that I want to be on?
So at that time, I stopped those businesses so that I could regroup and just figure out, what offering I wanted to do. And so I just kept the main thing, and I just released music. And so I kept it there with the music so that I can build more of an engaged following. And then I'm going to roll out. We got a couple things coming soon.
Okay. We'll say that for the end.
Okay.
So that's awesome. And I have to say, I have noticed your growth in music. Like, you've just really been just owning it and commanding it. And I feel like receiving who you were like meant to be, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
Samin, I'm going to be honest with you. Vocally, the past 5.5 years, I really figured out who I was, but also, the industry, especially the worship industry, is male dominated. And I think for me, and also sometimes we didn't see that diversity. And so for me, when I came into this just being obedient, I was intimidated because I didn't see myself, and I didn't see, the big earrings or anything, the wild lashes, like I'm here, but you're going to get these wispies. Yes. You fluffies. Well, I don't know what Amazon calls them, fluffies. I didn't see that, you know? And so for me, I didn't know how to develop that. And I had to just take risk after risk after risk after risk after risk. And that's why I think it was important for me to shut all that stuff down so that I could, you know, give that energy to the development of what that artist looks like. Who am I?
Right.
You know, what is my mission? And I now realize that my mission is to release music integrated with prayer and faith, you know, an empowering music to help those who are, you know, trying to increase their prayer life, trying to elevate their faith, and just giving a little soundtrack to, you know, their individual empowerment. But I would not have gotten there if I was kind of like focusing on all 5 directions.
Right, right. So I love that. That's a wonderful picture that you painted. Like, you're unapologetic about trying so many different things, about, you know, having all these business ventures. But then when you got the clarity that you needed for who you were meant to be, you said, okay, let me focus and channel all of my energy to that.
Yeah, we can only best serve people if we are firing on all cylinders. And so I think there was a term I started to use 5 years ago, like, what will it take to set you up to win? And so sometimes that seems a little selfish, but really you're thinking to yourself, what do I need in order to be fired up on all cylinders? You know, in order for me to be moving forward passionately, with certainty, with convictioncy, and being consistent. And a part of that was me recognizing that I needed to drill down to the core. So starting, you know, and this is just something extra I did with my therapist, as I went through my own personal core values, because everything stems from you. You know, God made us like specifically and uniquely designed, and our purpose is attached to it. And so I started with our personal core values. What do I value? And then I started to realize that I'm a solution to a problem. And so I'm going to be offering
I just want to pause there, because you talked about core values, and a lot of times we hear that as it relates to business.
Yes.
But I've never, you know, thought about it as it relates to yourself as an individual. So that's beautiful work, but continue.
Yeah. And you know, with your personal core values, this is how you think about how you're choosing a spouse, because that has to align. And then choosing your friendships, like who you want to nurture friendships with. You know, a part of my core values is I highly value family, and I highly value, you know, successful marriage. That's important to me. Honesty, transparency, vulnerability, all of these things are important to me. So I started choosing, you know, I was already married at the time. Thank God. Jesus did the work for me.
Thank God he fit the core values.
Woo, child, because that would have been a mess, all right? We're going to have to separate. But, yeah, I started to choose my friends better. Because I used to be thinking to myself, like, why am I attracting all these crazy people? Like, why am I attracting all these crazy people? Like, what is happening here?